From a moment, ooh, from a moment, and finally the time is now to shine.
What's up? What's up, family, friends, frenemies, enemies, foes? What's going on? How you doing out there? For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Clyde Rush. I am the Light Body Podcaster in the building. What's going on with you? How was your week? How was your weekend? We are in the first weekend of December. We have a few more days before this, let's say this month closes out, and we're stepping up into 2024. We're stepping up into 2024. If this is your first time here, welcome. You know, I know you can be anywhere on any one of these podcast channels doing whatever it is that you want to do while they're doing what they do. But at the same time, I just want to welcome you for the few minutes that you may be here. And I want to give you some information that I think can possibly radically change or transform your life from what it was to what you truly want it to be. Here, we talk about everything light. All right. We were all at some point, or maybe not you, but I know that I was at some point in a dark place in my life. And when I was in that dark place in my life, the one thing that I wanted was information or something that could radically change that dark space and that dark place to something that was more enlightening, something that had more significance, something that had more relevance to me. And we understand that as in many different cultures and different spaces and places as light. So we want to equate light to knowledge. We want to equate light to information. We want to equate light to a frequency. Okay, that's basically what it is. We want to think about it as far as the quantum body. We want to think about it as far as the physical body. We want to think about it as far as coherence. What is that information? What is that frequency? What is that resonance that takes us from the dark space when we turn on the light that takes us into the light space? I refer that as the light body. When we get the light inside the body, I know I'm jumping right in this, but you know, time seems to escape me so fast here. So I just want to make sure I do you a service by realizing your time. Okay, so I just want to jump right into this because, you know, next thing I know, 30, 40 minutes has gone by and it's like we only got through half of the content. So I do my best to create an outline so that I can stay on target because I'm one of those people that when I start talking about something that I'm so passionate about, I will go off and I can't turn it off. All right. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I respect your time for showing up because I know you don't have a lot of it. And any time that you spend here, I am humbly appreciative of it. All right. So with that being said, I have a few things that it is that I want to talk about. But the first thing is I want to talk about the metaphor of light as a symbol for knowledge and beliefs. And it's deeply rooted in various cultures and philosophies. It's often represented as far as enlightenment, understanding, and illumination of the mindset. I'm going to read it for you one more time. The metaphor of light as a symbol for knowledge and beliefs is deeply rooted in various cultures and philosophies. It's often represented as far as enlightenment, understanding, and illumination of the mind. I have a few examples for you, and I just want to run through what those examples are as quickly as possible. But the first thing is, I just want you to understand that when this body turns on and it ignites, you've heard from time and time, we have enough cell energy in our body to illuminate a city. Well, listen, if we have that type of power within this body, what happens when that illumination turns on for you, let alone that you have the power within you to light up a whole city as far as the energy is concerned in the body? But what happens when we internalize that energy for ourselves and we accept that light energy as information that can radically catapult us from where we are in our life and our doom and gloom to the success and the desires of the heart that get us from where we are to where we truly want to be, that elevated state of awareness, that elevated state of emotion, that elevated state of oneness, wherein we are in coherence between our heart and this element called the brain. And when those two things are synergistically connected and the integration actually happens, it's because the light came on. So with that being said, enlightenment in many spiritual and philosophical traditions, light is synonymously with enlightenment, representing the achievement and understanding of wisdom. Let's break that down real quick. Okay. So listen, in your past, you may have gone through a situation, struggle, or strain from one thing to the next thing. You may have felt betrayed. You may have felt betrayal. You may have felt that somebody abandoned you. You may have felt like the worst thing of the worst things, the woe, worst of energy may have happened to you in that state and in that place and during that time. More often than not, when we are children and we are at the woe and we are at the realm of what somebody else decides to do, whether it's a parent, a guardian, or sibling, or someone else decides that person is taking care of us, we're at their beck and call. We're at their disposal to do whatever it is that they choose to do with us. Now, we understand that there are some folks who just wasn't in their right mind and they had no business watching us, but yet somebody trusted them with our lives so they can go ahead and do what they have to do in their lives. And in some cases may have been able to do those things in their life to take care of us. Everybody can't be at the same place at the same time doing the same thing for the same reason. So someone cannot work and be home at the same time. That was then. This is now. There's something called remote work. So today, you can have your child and you can remotely work from home and still tend to your child at the same time saving money. That's a whole nother story for another time. But right now, we're talking about this enlightenment era where you are left in the hands of someone else to condition you, institutionalize you, and subject you to whatever it was that they felt was appropriate for you. Now, listen, for all intended purposes, there were some good folks and there were some not so good folks, and you went through some traumatic stuff, maybe, and maybe you didn't go through some traumatic stuff. Each person has had their own life experience. But the folks who went through some trauma, for the folks who have grown out of the trauma, I commend you. For the folks who are still suffering through the trauma, the light body ignition turns on. And you don't have to continuously go through the emotional trauma that you went through in the past. What you have an opportunity to do is separate the emotional trauma that you went through and understand the lesson. And that lesson that you went through is what we call wisdom. When you separate the emotional trauma from a situation, circumstance that you may have gone through at a younger state, or didn't have to be when you was a kid, it could have been yesterday. But we don't learn, sometimes we don't learn that quick. So we go in this perpetuation of a merry-go-round where we go around the same thing again and again and again. All we got to do is ask the operator to stop and let us get off. Or we decide to just take that tumble and fall and jump off that merry-go-round so we can get off, or the hamster wheel, or whatever symbol it is that you want to use for doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. Going to work, working 40 hours a week and working 40 hours a week for 20, 30, 40 years. And at the end of the time, they say, adios, see you later. And you didn't plan for your retirement. Guess what? You're kind of stuck. That means you got to go do something else. Or you may have had the opportunity to plan and prepare for your retirement, so you set yourself up right. However, if you didn't, so on and so forth. The bottom line is this. When you separate the emotional trauma from the experience that you had and learn the lesson of the past, it's called wisdom. Something that you've already experienced, something that you now know. Enlightenment. We want to call that enlightenment. In many spiritual and philosophical traditions, light is synonymous with enlightenment, representing the achievement of understanding and wisdom. You may not have understood that whole situation. And I'm not trying to take you back to your childhood when you were sitting there trying to figure out why you were going through what you were going through, because that's not what this is all about. What I'm suggesting to you, and for some folks, you may need to go through some type of therapy for that matter. And I'm being real serious about that, because there may be some mental issue that may be going on, or some trauma in your heart that you have not resolved yet. And it may be the thing that's holding you in the place and space that you're in right now. So at the same time, if you need help, go get it. I was in that space and place where I thought that maybe I was going to make it through. And then it was times when I thought that I wasn't going to make it through. But at the same time, obviously I'm here. So the thing that I did was the thing that was right for me. And I stopped and I surrendered and I let all of that stuff go. And it's still a daily process every single day, not to fall back to where it was that I came from, but to understand the lessons of what it is that I went through and what I grew through to become who it is that I am right now, which is the person sitting in front of you saying, it ain't over for you. The light is shining bright inside you. Watch the light and let it turn on and ignite the true desires of self, which is to become whoever it is that you truly desire to become. Enlightenment. Let's talk about clarity and insight. Light is often symbolized the clarity that comes with knowledge, dispelling the darkness of ignorance and confusion. Light and dark obviously are not going to occupy the same space in the same place at the same time. Once the light turns on, darkness is gone. Now, what does that actually mean for you? Well, it's saying that light is also knowledge. It's dispelling the darkness of ignorance, meaning you know, so now you can't say you don't know. You can act like you don't know. But when you truly know, why would you want to act like you don't know? When you know that you know that you know, now you have the opportunity to transform your life from what was to what you truly desire it to be. Here's the question. What do you desire your life to be? And if your life is not where it is that you truly desire it to be right now, because more often than not, we're not really clear about the life it is that we truly desire to have. I know for me, and I'm only saying for me because who else can I examine this by besides myself? At the same time, every day, now, wasn't like this all the time, but before my dreams was my reality. I stayed in my dreams because my dreams were so much better than the reality that I was in. Now, trust me, I'm not saying that my whole life was traumatic and there's trauma and all these other different things that was going on. I did have moments where it was traumatic, and no one really knew because I knew how to wear that mask. And I grinned and laughed and, played around like everything was okay. But inside, oh my goodness, the torment that I was going through inside, and nobody really knew. Everything was okay. I posed like it was okay. I went along like it was okay, up until the point where I didn't even recognize myself. I was in such a distorted configuration of who I wasn't that I didn't even know the trauma and the pain that I was actually in and suffering from. And when I think about that, I wasn't able to laugh about it now, but I sure enough was in pain and crying and balled up and all kind of craziness. And as a man, that's a hard thing to go through because more often than not, men tend to cry in the dark. And that's what we do. We sit there and we suffer in silence and we suffer in pain. And then we try to figure out why we can't get the relationships that we're desired of. Why? Because we don't have the relationship that we're supposed to have with ourselves first. How can you have a relationship with someone else when you don't even honor yourself? How you can present yourself as this figure of this person when you're not being authentic with yourself? How can you say that you're this, that, and the other when you don't even think that you're enough as you are because of the things that you've actually done in your past? So your past is always tapping you on the shoulder, invalidating you. Oh, you're not this. You got that imposter thing going on. You're not really who you think you are. You're who they say you are. And more often than not, the things that they say about you are to keep you right where you are so you can't become the greatest version of yourself. I'm here to tell you right now, it's not true. It's a fallacy. And you sat there and you believe what they, those, them, and others happen to say about you, which is not really relative to who you truly are. But since you weren't really sure about who you really are, you believe what they said about you. That's the ignorance. That's the dark place. That's the space where you really weren't sure about who it is that you truly are. Men, females, it doesn't really make a difference. The situation is synonymous and the same. The fact of the matter is you did not know. And simply not knowing is plain and simple ignorance. I ain't calling you ignorant. That's something different. Ignorance is when you just don't know. It's void of light, void of knowledge, void of awareness, void of information. As I said, this whole thing is really about what light really means. What does light really mean? Information. This is not some prolific thing where I'm just sitting down here talking about some philosophical thing and I'm going through some initiation process and then we talk about mastering and alchemy. What I'm saying to you is these are steps that I've actually went on the journey of discovery about who it is that I truly am. And the whole thing about it is there's no real separation between who I am and who you are, except for the experiences that you've gone through that may have been similar to mine. Or maybe not. I don't know. It all depends on you. At the same time, we understand. And that same thing about that light coming on from that perspective of being ignorant and confusion to now understanding through the wisdom application of what it is I've grown through to who it is that I'm becoming in the process. Now, we take that and we take hope and positivity. Light is a symbol of hope, guiding people through difficult times, much like knowledge and positive beliefs, and can provide direction in life's challenges. I'm going to read that for you one more time. Hope and positivity. Light is a symbol of hope, guiding people through difficult times, much like knowledge and positive beliefs can provide direction in life's challenges. What do you believe about yourself? Because whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, I know you've heard it, you're right. But the real question is what's the truth about you? And unless we truly examine the true self, how do we know? So when I say I'm this, when I say I'm that, when I say I do this, when I say I'm from this place or this, that, and the other, is it really true? So the real question is who am I? Am I really who I say I am? And am I all that I ought to be? Who am I? Am I really who I say I am? And am I all that I ought to be? What are my morals? What are my values? What's my code of conduct? What do I hold important and dear to me? What do I draw as far as boundaries that I've set for myself to keep people away and keep myself also at a distance from those who don't mean the best intention for me, but those who do not serve me, but those who want the value that I have, but maybe I don't see the value, but others do. But what happens when that happens, right? We find ourselves in predicaments and situations and circumstances and places that don't necessarily serve us, but serve them. Call it people pleasing. Because we're not really sure, again, about who it is that we are, because the light is shining bright, but we tend to dim it down so that we can fit in spaces and places where we ain't got no business being. Shine bright, turn your light up, and allow yourself to be in the spaces and places and attract those people who are going to serve you and who you can serve to be the best version of yourself and them too. That's hope and positivity. That's changing a limiting belief to a belief about what's positive for me, for who it is that I truly am and what frequency I'm actually resonating on as far as this transformation from what I was to who it is that I am. Don't let nobody keep you in a space and place where you know you got no business being because you're not really sure about who it is that you are. Sit in silence, solitude, and stillness for a few minutes and understand that everything that you've gone through is to get you to grow to become somebody that you were always intended to be. From the inception of your birth, in that dark place, you were already the light. Do you understand what it is that I'm saying with this? In the dark place, when these two elements came together to create who you are, you were born with light already coming into this space and place, out of darkness into the light. But what do? We tend to forget. Memory is wiped clean. And then we take on what they, those, them, and others say that we are supposed to be, from one position to the next position, from one chain of thought to another chain of thought. And that happens between that growth spot between 1 and 6 and 7 years old. That's the most curious you are as a child. And when you got that curiosity, you could take mud and some water and you got yourself an apple pie. You take your little dolls, you take well, we actually had action figures. We didn't have dolls, we had action figures, all right? The young girls had dolls, the guys had action figures with the kung fu grip and various things along that line. That's what we did. Or you had model cars or whatever. But at the same time, by the same token, we had those things that we used to grow up. At the same time, boy, it was nothing but fun. Well, guess what? That same child still resides inside you. And every now and then we got to protect that child, all right? Because that child still comes up and taps you on your shoulder saying, hey, what's up? Remember me? I want to have fun. And when we decide we want to have fun, sometimes you want to go and do a somersault. You want to do a backflip. I don't care how old you are, but you decide in that moment, I can do this. Because you know what happens? When that child comes up and that child wants to express itself through you in this moment to remind you that, hey, listen, there's a child that's in you that wants to express itself through the adult you. And that child just wants to do what? What do kids want to do? Have fun. And sometimes we as the adult, we put away the hope to actually have that positive experience from the childlike state. Because in that child state, we were always told, no, you can't do that. No, you got to go to bed. Eat your peas, eat your vegetable, eat your this, that, and the other. Whatever the situation was that somebody may have told you that you had to do that. Now as the child and the adult, I said it right, as the child in the adult, the child is saying, I want to come out and have fun that I didn't have as the adult that only you can allow me to have. And that child just wants to express itself. And as the adult, when the child expresses itself, it's fun. And we got to remember as the adult to have fun. We can't just constantly walk around with the trauma, the atrocities, the significant situations and circumstances that have reduced us down to this person who's got this gigantic voice, but we don't use it. We stifle that voice. Why? Why do we do that? so we can fit in, because we're really not sure about the light that shines so bright. We can't even see ourselves because that light is so bright, because we've dimmed it down for such a long period of time that we got amnesia, or we have some other situation that's going on inside the mind to prevent us, or to show us who it is that we truly are through what it is that we've gone through. And we go through stuff every single day that we wake up. We have an opportunity to be the best version of ourselves through our situations, circumstances, and the circumstance is only something that you keep going around. And again, it's your circle of sameness, your circumstance, the situation, stress, strain, and struggle that we tend to go through on a regular basis, that now we sit down and we understand, wait a minute, I went through that same thing about the same time, this time, last year. Well, if there's a repetitive cycle and I don't realize that cycle, once I identify the pattern, now I have an opportunity to incorporate the light. Einstein said you can't solve a problem on the same level of consciousness and mindset that created the problem. You have to get a different perspective. You have to get a higher degree of understanding, a higher degree of consciousness, and implement that on top of the problem to resolve the problem. How many problems we got that we running around here with the same mindset, trying to figure out, why am I going through the same thing? Because you decided not to grow through it. That's why. Plain and simple. You decided not to grow through it. You have an opportunity to grow through anything it is that's in front of you. The question is will you? And if you won't, that must mean you've gotten comfortable sitting in that mess. Why is that? You don't think that you deserve change? Even a baby sitting in a diaper, one thing that baby wants to do is be changed. So what's he gonna do? Make noise, cry, make all kind of noise, kicking and screaming until somebody takes this wet diaper off me. Well, guess what? They got Pampers and all kinds of things that's out here right now. These kids rip that stuff off and go run around butt naked. Now you got to chase them around the room. I don't say I don't say you do that as the adult now. Well, you can in your privacy of your own home, you run around your house the way that you want to if you want to. But what I'm saying is, when we're discomfort, when we're not comfortable, we're in a state of things that just are not going right. What do we choose to do? Sit there and stay in that discomfort? Or do we allow ourselves to step up, step out of it, and become something greater than who it is that we were? And all of us have gone through a mess. But what I decided to do was take my mess and make a message. And that's what each one of you have an opportunity to do also, is take your mess and make a message out of it and get the wisdom from the mess, separate the emotional trauma from it, and allow yourself to grow into who it is that you're becoming. All right. So innovation and discovery. Just as a light bulb is an icon for a bright idea, light represents the birth of new ideas and innovations that stem from human knowledge. Say it to you one more time. Innovation and discovery. Just as a light bulb is an icon for a bright idea, light represents the birth of new ideas and innovations that stem from human knowledge. You're going through it. You matter. You are enough. You don't have to resonate on somebody else's frequencies. You have your own frequency that you resonate on to get in front of your own folks, to do the thing it is that you do exceptionally well that nobody else can do except for you. How innovative are you allowing yourself to become through discovery? Discover inner greatness, DIG. What happens when you dig? Last couple of weeks ago, I was speaking about how things are actually in the dark room and how things actually get developed and from the negative to the positive. So while we're sitting there going through innovation and discovery, it's an opportunity for you to show up through all your stress, through all your strain and struggle, through all your mess, and take that and create something from it. I know. I just don't understand. You're figuring you're the only one that's going through what you went through. Well, probably so. Probably so. But there's only one way to find out if you're the only one, and that's to trust and believe in the process of who is being attracted to you. When you start to come up out of the light, and you take a look at your environment, and you ask yourself the question, how did I get here? And if the environment that you're in is not conducive for growth, you got an opportunity. I said it's an opportunity to change that. All right. You have an opportunity to change it. Question is are you innovative enough? And are you willing to go on the discovery of who you truly are to change the environment that you're in? Am I saying to just jump up and run? Nope. I'm saying face everything and rise. Face everything and rise up. That's what the opportunity is in front of you right now. Let me give you one more. And I don't know how much time I've been on here. I hope it's only been a few minutes. I really don't know. But the bottom line is this. I know that you're here and I'm still here and we still gonna go through this. I got one more for you. I'm gonna shut it down and then I'll do the other part because it's just so much information that I can put out in this short period of time because I want to be respectful of your time and mine for that matter. And I don't want to over inundate you with all of this stuff. Guidance and direction. In literature and art, light is often used to symbolize guidance, similar to how knowledge and beliefs guide our decisions and paths in life. One more time. Guidance and direction. In literature and art, light is often used to symbolize guidance, similar to how knowledge and beliefs guide our decisions and paths in life. Okay, so look, when you jump into a car, if you drive, back in the day, you know, we used to have a light on. I know I did. I had a bike, a pedal bike, 10 speed. Oh my gosh, it's the first bike that I bought for myself when I first started working. That's right. I worked at McDonald's. So what? But I worked at McDonald's. That was the first job I had because my father told me when I turned 16, don't come back in this house unless you got a job. I couldn't go back in that house without the job. I told that manager that was hiring that day, look, man, I can't go back home unless I got a job. And he said, what? I said, I cannot go home unless I have a job. My father told me to come back home. Don't come back home without a job. Now, listen, that was my first real interview. I didn't know there was no interview school and all the rest of this stuff. So I said the truth. I told the guy what it was. I got hired, by the way. So I don't know whether he felt sorry for me or not. But at the same time, that was the only light that I had. That was the only information I knew, which was to tell the truth to the guy. My father said, don't come back to this house without a job. I mean, I had paper routes and all kind of things like that. I had what you would call a hustle back then, but I needed a job. My father wanted to make sure that I wasn't just lollygagging around out in the street all day long, finding trouble and getting into it. So if I was working, I couldn't get into trouble, but however, I can get paid. So that was my story. That was his guidance and his direction for me. I think it worked out pretty good. We'll talk about my whole career later on some other time and whatnot. And it's a rainbow of assortments of things that I've done in this lifetime. It makes it seem like I've been here quite a few different times. Wink, wink. But at the same time, as far as art is concerned, that light, that information, and you can actually put your stuff on display. Some people are artists. When we talk about art, we're talking about writing. What's the art thing that you do? It could be music. It could be poetry. What's the thing that expresses you the most that would be identified as an art form? And you are the artiste of your artwork. How do you master that thing? And you master it in such a way that people will pay you for your artwork, whether or not it's writing, whether or not it's poetry, whether or not it's singing, whether or not you're nice with the pen and your penmanship, or whether or not you have a way of just putting colors together, or whether or not you have a way of taking pictures and creating life through a still image. All of this, things like that, or whether or not you have the authoritative facility to speak and make your words come out in such a way that it inspires and fires up people to become more than they ever thought that they could be because they heard you say something in such a way that it was prolific. And it's like, oh my goodness, did you ever hear this guy speak? I'm talking about me. But at the same time, you heard something that just ignited you because it made sense. All of a sudden, it made sense. Why? Because it was a frequency match. That's you and your art, whatever that thing may be. How can you express yourself fully? And it doesn't really make a difference what the profession is. It's whether or not you have a fuller expression, which is fulfillment in the thing it is that you do. And you do it so well that the marketplace will pay you for it. All right. That's the thing. How do you deliver from that space and place where it's like, yeah, I got on 2 watches. I'll explain that another time. It's like, is this guy got on 2 watches? Yeah, that's another story. Anyway, those beliefs are changed from limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs when you really start to believe your thought process. So I want to explain one thing to you. You have beliefs which drive your thoughts, which dictate your emotions, which create your actions, which dedicate to your results. All right. So we have beliefs, we have thoughts, we have emotions, we have actions that dictate your results. If you don't like the results that you actually have, check the actions that you've used, check your emotions behind the driving of the actions, see what thoughts you actually had, and then check your beliefs and find out what's actually going on and why these things are occurring for you the way that they are. And with that being said, I have a few more for you, but right now it's just not enough time for us to go on. So unfortunately, I got to stop at this moment. Yeah, I know. Wow, go on. Keep going, keep going. I know. I want to hear the rest of it too. And it's me doing this podcast. At the same time, by the same token, I do want to be respectful of your time and your energy. More will come. I have about maybe 5 or 6 more that I want to deliver to you. Actually, it is 5 more, so I think I did pretty good. But at the same time, I do want to be respectful of your time. So it's not too much. You can eat an elephant over the course of a lifetime. And how do you do that? One chew at a time. All right. So that's all we're doing right here. I want to thank you for showing up and for coming into this space and place. And I truly believe that something that was said in this time is relevant to you on the frequency that you're resonating on. And if it makes sense to you, share this with somebody else. And if it doesn't make sense for you, share it with somebody else and then talk about why it doesn't make sense for you and makes sense for them. Either way, share this thing. It's all good. Somebody's going to use it that you either know, and they'll thank you for it if you try it. Just try it one time and let me know what happened when you shared it. Give me a little comment down in the bottom. Let me know what's up. So if you like what you heard, they say subscribe and all this other kind of stuff. I don't know what they're talking about on here, but anyway, I'm just doing what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. If you like this, then click like. You want to drop a comment down there, it's cool. Make sure you subscribe so that I can make sure that I'm always sending you the most update information as far as this is concerned. Once again, I want to thank you. This is only the first half of this. I still got another half that I'll drop on to you in another few days. And, you can put it all together, enjoy yourself. But in the meantime, between time, this brother's taking 2 steps to the right and he's getting up out of here. I just want to say peace, blessings, prosperity, and abundance. Namaste. You enjoy the rest of your day. One love to you. I'm out.